General Mark Milley testified before the House Armed Services Committee yesterday regarding the military budget request in the Biden administration's 2023 budget proposal. But he made some interesting comments about the current war in Ukraine.
We are entering a world that is becoming more unstable, and the potential for significant international conflict between great powers is increasing, not decreasing.
Why is the instability globally growing? Well, joining me now to discuss this is FRC's Executive Vice President and a founding member of the Army's elite Delta Force and former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, General Jerry Boykin. General, welcome back to the program.
Good to be here, Tony.
All right. I don't disagree with General Milley saying that we are at one of the most unstable positions globally that we've been in probably half a century. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, and I think what we have to ask is why. And quite frankly, I think we need to reflect on the fact that bullies don't challenge people with strength. They challenge the weaklings. And I believe that what we're seeing is a period in the history of this nation and the world where America's strength has not been on display. In fact, I think that Russia and China, as well as Iran and other adversaries like North Korea, see us as being in a very weak period now. And furthermore, not only have they seen weakness in our administration, but they've watched what we're doing to our military as we go about trying to develop this woke military. And they see that we're not focused on war fighting. We're not focused on readiness and being prepared to meet those future threats that Milley was talking about.
So he stopped short of that introspection in terms of, does America have a role to play in terms of leading to this instability? And I would agree with you. I think we do need to look internally. I think, there are those like you and I think most of our listeners that understand a strong military is a military probably don't have to use because it's strong, it's robust, it has capabilities, and it's focused on fighting and winning wars. We've departed from that.
We have indeed, and I will tell you that I don't believe personally, and I certainly can't prove this, but I don't believe personally that if the last administration was still in power, that we would have seen what we have seen in terms of the invasion of the Ukraine. I think that there was a strength associated with the last administration. Focus on military readiness. Just stop and think about what that administration did in terms of the budget, restoring the budget, in terms of focusing very heavily on what do we need to do to make our military more capable of winning this nation's wars. And then, for example, just look at how long it took them to essentially to deneuter or to neuter ISIS. And basically put them on the run and for all intents and purposes, make them totally ineffective. So I think that strength militarily is the key to stability, not just in Europe or in Asia, but in the world.
Yeah, I think you have to factor in what the debacle in Afghanistan, the re-entering of this Iranian nuclear agreement, showing not strength but weakness on behalf of the United States. Now, he mentioned yesterday in his testimony China and Russia specifically as global superpowers opposed to the U.S. Now, I think what we're seeing with Russia shows that in many ways they're an empty suit, a threat nonetheless, but I think China is the greater threat to the United States. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with that, and I think that if you go back and look at previous statements that Milley has made, like just a year ago, he also agreed with that. He clearly stated that he thought China was the largest military threat. And then he casually mentioned Russia as also being on the radar. So yes, I think China is the biggest threat. But one of the things that I think is kind of interesting is that thus far we have not seen a great deal of support for Russia coming out of China. And I think that is largely because the Chinese are now reassessing that relationship and how important it really is to them.
Is there still time with China for the United States to bolster its standing, to continue to be, or to once again be competitive and to keep China at bay?
We're playing catch up, Tony, and very clearly when you look at the hypersonic issue, for example, these hypersonic weapons that are both China and Russia have already developed and already have in their inventory. And we're just now in the experimental phase and the test phase of these. So we're playing catch up on a number of fronts, to include much of the cyber activities that we're probably slightly behind them. So yes, we can catch up, but we've got to put the money and the resources and make a commitment to prioritizing the restoration of our military capabilities. And thus far, I see no attempt by this administration to do that.
Very quickly, with these hypersonic missiles that we see, rockets, do we have the defense capabilities against those as a country?
No, they fly too fast, they fly too low, and they just basically outrun our technology.
Final question for you as we go into the break. Are you satisfied with the proposed military budget in the 2023 budget proposed by the administration?
Well, it's the largest ever, and I think it is a good start, but I need to get into it and really dig into it to determine what the answer to your question is.
Yeah, more money, if it's not spent wisely, is not a good thing. And so far, we've seen the priorities of this administration kind of moving in the wrong direction in terms of fighting and winning wars. General Jerry Boykin, always great to be with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony.